put up the photograph, if you don't mind, on Jeff Garland put this one out the other day.
Yeah,
that's you right in the middle behind Rickles. And I'll describe Garland. He's got Jack Black in a headlock.
Yeah.
That's Queen Latifah, John Stamos, John Mayer, and then to your right is the great Bob Saget. What was this night, man? What's going on?
This Bob Saget had, it's like, how is somebody, obviously we've all heard and people know you interact with Bob Saget and you're like, is this guy for real? Or is he kind of conning me? Or is he was that level of, he could pull in Queen Latifah and John Mayer for a benefit.
This was a scleroderma research foundation
and he would
benefit.
do it once in New York and once in LA, and it was in the entertainment industry. I feel like you run into these people where you're like, oh, this is how we should aspire to treat each other. Mm-hmm. Like he was not somebody who was caught up in hierarchy. He was, Full House was a silly show. He was not caught in the web of that, of being a former star of a sitcom. He was, his soul was that of a comedian. And so, that comedian family is very about authenticity, and he kept searching and trying to find more authenticity. But his kindness would melt anyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'd be like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do here. And people would, Queen Latifah showing up for a benefit. It's like these benefits in LA and New York are constant. And he has like Don Rickles showing up to it. And that's the type of person he was. You're like, all right, I want to do something nice for him.
So he'd call you up and say, hey, can we do a set
he was
tonight?
Like,
is that what
fly to LA. And I'm like, all right. But he would also have done like 15 things for you where, if something bad happened, he'd be the person to text you. It's like, I think he spent like 2 hours a day sending nice messages to people. It was pretty amazing.
And that looks like a blast of a night.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Just like Rickles.
What was he? What was
he was just sitting in a chair. He was pretty up there, so he was sitting in a chair. They brought a microphone to him, and he just tore into everyone. And it's a unique skill to like be able to like take a knife out and cut everyone's Achilles tendon out, and just they love you. And so that was pretty amazing. And then, it's weird. Like John, that he's buddies with John Stamos, but like Jimmy Kimmel's showing up. Jimmy Kimmel. I remember I sat next to Jimmy Kimmel, and there was an auction, and Jimmy Kimmel bought like some trip to Vegas, which we know is where Jimmy Kimmel's from.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, I got to do it for Bob. So he bought this trip for like $50,000. He's not going to use it. It's amazing. But it was a good, like when you were in high school and you had these senior, these upperclassmen where you're like, you know what, I want to behave like that. That's what Saget was like. You're like, you know what, I want to be like that type of guy who does favors, helps people out, is always kind of like a positive influence.
Sweetheart of a guy, man. Yeah. I would give away like NFL Network tours to that event too, and he would be the one calling up to say, what's your email? I'll hook you up. Like, and he's the one doing it. I'm like, Bob, like what, how do you handle all of this?
Yeah. And again, it's like a level of commitment, and he loved stand up. And that's, the weird thing. I think people think that comedians are competitive and don't get along, when the reality is that we're so eccentric, and that same kind of, there's a fraternal nature to it. So there is, doesn't matter what type of comedy you do, there's a mutual respect.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.